Gaming critics on A Wonderful Life. It's a remarkable experience. This is a game about redefining what matters to you. The lack of new features keep this remake away from greatness. A Wonderful Life doesn't offend, but it sure doesn't impress either. Hello everyone, in today's video we're going to be looking at different reviews for Story of Seasons A Wonderful Life. Some people, they seem to be really liking this game, and some others, they've been bringing the hate. So let's break down these different reviews. Right now, the Metacritic score is a 73, which I think is a little bit on the low side. However, I did say in several past videos that I think this game is not going to be for everyone. Right now, it's split evenly between good reviews and mixed reviews. Before we dive into all the specific reviews, I do want to say that as we read these reviews, take note. Some of these, they played the original game, and so they're kind of basing it off of that. Some of them have not, and it's pretty obvious. And so they're going to be doing something that I do not like, and that is comparing it to games like Stardew Valley. But in my mind, Stardew Valley and A Wonderful Life, they're completely different games. They're not even trying to do the same thing. So in my mind, it's not really that fair to compare the two. But yeah, you guys can let me know in the comments down below. Do you guys also get annoyed when everyone under the sun compares every farming game to Stardew Valley? Because I know I do. First, let's look at a few that really liked the game. Right now it has 490s from Screen Rant, and Screen Rant is one of those that they did play the original, at least it sounds like it from their review. They say that it keeps the core features that kept the original game great, and then it adds things to improve upon it. So they obviously liked the original, and they like this game as well. The second one from Destructoid says that it's a remarkable experience. It takes the classic farming formula and gives it a purpose beyond just seeing how many S-ranked tomatoes you can grow. So those two really liked it. There's one more 90 that it got, and that is from Digitally Downloaded, and it says A Wonderful Life on the GameCube was perhaps the most perfect execution of the Harvest Moon ethos out there out of the long-running series. These next four, they all gave it an 80, so it's generally good, but the one that's funny to me is this CG Magazine. They said that it's a must-play for fans of the farming sim, but they only give it an 80. To me, if a game's going to be must-play, it should at least be an 85. I'm surprised they said that it's a gem and that you definitely have to play it, but then they give it only an 80. A little bit strange in my mind. Rounding out the positive reviews, we have one from Spazio Games, and it's funny because they say that it brings one of the most beloved episodes of the franchise back to life, which I don't know if that's true. I think, as I said before, it was a very divisive one. Some people loved it, some people hated it. But yeah, it seems like they relatively liked it, but they do say that the lack of new features keeps this remake away from greatness. I always think it's really funny when you look at the score, but then you actually read what they said, and then it just feels like there's kind of like a disconnect. Yeah, to me, 77, it sounds like, it's decent, but then, they say that there's things that keep it back from greatness, so... Okay, so the next few, they're all going to be 70, and the first one is for players. They say that it's mostly true to the original, but compared to genre colleagues, it's no longer up to date, which I maybe slightly agree with. I do kind of wish that they had added a few more features, but giving it a 70 I think is a little bit low. Okay, the next one is from Silicon Era, and it says, I've got to tell you, it feels like a game that arrived right when I needed it most. This is a game about redefining what matters to you, but they only gave it a 70. So yeah, again, I think there's a bit of a disconnect because it sounds like it's kind of good, but yeah, they only gave it a 70. And then another person giving it a 70 is But Why Though? And Pocket Tactics. They say if you can take the time to pace yourself and slowly enjoy everything the game has to offer, then there's a whole lot to enjoy. And Pocket Tactics said it's a modernized and remade classic, very laid back and pleasant journey through farming, raising animals, and finding a partner. Next we have Nintendolife. They're the last one to give it a 70, and they say it retains the charm and the pleasant tedium of the original while bringing enough features up to date that it's not a total chore to play. So I have a whole bone to pick with Nintendolife, and we're going to get into that later. But yeah, every time they talk about Story of Seasons and Harvest Moon, I always feel like they have a chip on their shoulder, and I got to get that off my chest. So we're going to talk more about that later. And then IGN gave it a 60. And this is someone who say that they loved the original Harvest Moon, but they say that they don't like the remake, which I find very interesting because I always thought it would be the reverse, because that's kind of how I am. I don't really like the original all that much, but I do really like the remake. Because the remake, they do add a few more features and it's a bit more fleshed out, whereas I feel like the original was kind of missing something. But IGN, they surprisingly had the opposite opinion. They end their review by saying, "A Wonderful Life doesn't offend, but it sure doesn't impress either." Okay, these last two, they only gave it a 50, and that was Game Rant. And they say that the latest entry in the franchise is simply not exceptional. It's easy to get sunk in and lose huge chunks of time tending crops and animals or befriending villagers. However, Story of Seasons: A Wonderful Life is a steady middle-of-the-road offering with nothing to recommend over anything else currently available in the genre. This is maybe the review that I kind of disagree with the most. First of all, they say they got sucked in. If you're going to get sucked into a game, I don't think you can then turn around and give it a 50. For me, if a game sucks me in, like the worst I would end up giving it would be like a 75. Because if a game sucks you in, it shows you that like there's something special there. And then the fact that they go on to say that there's nothing exceptional about the game compared to other games in the genre. Yes, there's a passage of time. Like, that's the whole point of this game. So it's not going to have some features that maybe other games have. However, this social aspect, no other games have this. So yeah, this review is the one I disagree with the most. So Game Rant, shame on you. And the last one, God is a Geek. They said there's nothing particularly bad about Story of Seasons: A Wonderful Life, but compared to modern farming games, it's just a bit dull. This one, though, it's not like the last one. This one, I feel like, that's their opinion, and it's fine. Like, I don't have a problem with them giving it a 50. I'm just have a problem with Game Rant saying that it sucked them in and then giving it a 50. Like, come on. Am I crazy? Let me know in the comments down below. I don't know about you guys, but for me, I use Nintendolife.com mostly for gaming news. I used to use Kotaku, but then a lot of the people that I liked left that website, so I needed a new one, and then I found Nintendolife, and I was like, okay, I'm going to use this website from now on for my gaming news. However, I've noticed like a sad development on the site, and that is that they are highly, highly anti-Story of Seasons and Harvest Moon. Like, they made this memory pack where the title of the article is Story of Seasons, Trio of Towns, Ludus was the last good thing about the series. They've also made other articles talking about how Stardew Valley is thriving and Story of Seasons is not. They also hate on Harvest Moon, especially Harvest Moon One World, and they talk about how they didn't even bother to get married just because they didn't like the game so much. And it's funny because that even affected me a little bit. I remember reading that review and then thinking that, oh, it must be really difficult to get married. But then I played the game, and it's not even really that hard at all. You can watch my other video where I did it in less than a year, and I did it in less than 20 hours. So them complaining that they couldn't get married, like, to me, like, you're just looking for something to hate on the game about. This is the article that I'm talking about, how Stardew Valley grew the farm sim while Harvest Moon went to seed. And then they have the audacity to use a picture of Friends of Mineral Town, which is one of the best games in the series. So yeah, I took that personally. You may be curious about how they ranked the other Story of Seasons games. They gave Friends of Mineral Town, Story of Seasons Remake, they gave it an 8 out of 10. And they said it has an addictive gameplay loop, and it's a relaxing pace, and then the only downside is not a lot of new content, and the gameplay can be a little bit simplistic, but they still gave it a grade, so better than they gave A Wonderful Life. Pioneers of Olive Town, they only gave it a 6 out of 10, and the first thing that they wrote in the good category is that it's better than Harvest Moon One World, at least. So it's like, dang, throwing shade at both series at the same time. Yeah, as I said before, that's one thing that I really don't like. And then, they just say a lot of other things, like long loading screens everywhere, using makers and cooking is so slow, things like that, and so they give it a 6 out of 10. Although, in their defense, I cannot say that I played Story of Seasons Pioneers of Olive Time at launch. And Story of Seasons Pioneers of Olive Town is a game that they patched to make better. They made the makers better. They kind of added more dialogue, things like that. So maybe the original game wasn't as good. I can't really say. But yeah, they ended up giving it a 6 out of 10. So yeah, me personally, I'm not really the biggest fan of Nintendolife, even though I still use their website and go to their website almost every single day. Yeah, I really feel like they have a Story of Seasons, Harvest Moon anti-bias. They seem to really like Stardew Valley, and then they're always really negative on Story of Seasons and Harvest Moon. And even more than that, it's just their tone. Like, their tone, it really bothers me on a core level. Like, they talk about it as if it's bad, and everybody knows it's bad, and it has issues with it, and it just really affects my soul. So, if there's a better website that I should be going to, please let me know in the comments down below. Because, yeah, I really just want to go to a website that just gives Nintendo news and like a happy way, you know? So yeah, I really don't appreciate their tone at all. So those are my opinions on all of these different reviews for Story of Seasons, A Wonderful Life. In general, it's actually gotten slightly worse reception than I was expecting. I knew that there were going to be some outliers who gave it mixed reviews. You know, that 6 out of 10 didn't really surprise me. However, I kind of thought that there were going to be a few more positive reviews on it because I do think that it really appeals to a certain type of gamer. So I was really hoping that there would be more reviews of people who really liked the game, who really enjoyed the game. But yeah, right now the highest on Metacritic is just a 90, so I guess we'll just have to wait and see what you guys actually think of the game. Please let me know in the comments down below if you've gotten the game and you've started to play it. What are your thoughts on it? And if you hadn't, do you think what I said in this video is correct? For me, some of these reviewers, they said things that are, I don't know, it's not really fair to the game, I think. Please let me know in the comments down below. What do y'all think of these reviews? Don't forget to hit that like button, and I'll see you guys next time.